What strength exercises do you recommend to keep aging bodies strong?
Okay. Well, one thing would be interval training, so doing small bouts with regularity, so going in and doing like, you could do really any kind of like weightlifting type thing, but not doing long distance aerobic stuff quite so much. Long distance aerobic stuff ends up being a bit more problematic for hormones. So going through and doing like that, like death march, and you're like exercising over and over and over again. You're doing, getting all your steps wrapped up into one go. And you come back and you feel depleted. You're like, oh my God. That's going to be a little bit more problematic for the body from a hormonal perspective than doing like introducing some weightlifting stuff in there. If you're going to go for a run, do, like I said, intervals. So maybe do like a little mini sprint or just like higher cadence, so maybe run 70% full out. And then take a little break, take a little walk, and then do, pick some distances in between two trees, do a little run to that tree, take a little break, take a little walk, which once again, that would make sense because that replicates, a lot of what we would do from an ancestral perspective.
Right. Yeah.
Not to say there's anything wrong with running. There's nothing wrong with running, but running is a very, it's a complex activity, and so I think that's the barrier to entry, not that the question was about running, but just comparing doing like more higher intensity interval type work compared to doing the slow endurance thing. I think the barrier to entry, it feels safer to do the slow gradual thing. Okay, I'm going to work out, so I'm just going to go do this for 45 minutes. It feels safer, but in fact, it actually is much more dangerous, because you're gradually building up stress on the joints from moving through disadvantageous or mechanically unsound positions over and over and over and over again. So for aging and longevity, high intensity interval training, and high intensity is a relative word, so for high intensity for you.
And that could be as simple as body weight exercises.
Absolutely.
With push-ups, pull-ups, squats, those sorts of things.
And introducing weight training into your life, and that could be a couple, just a light barbell and doing some lunges or doing some squats, having a coach, that's what we break down. We break down in the book. We also have, obviously I've tons of videos and stuff online about how to do this stuff effectively. Like form really matters a lot. So having a coach or someone spot you, or, reading a book, breaking down, like, how exactly do we do this? But that weight-bearing activity is going to be helpful with sending the signal through your bones and through your connective tissue that it's time to get more dense. So every time that we're exposed to any type of mechanical stimulus, which, i.e. us standing on the floor right now, there's pressure against our feet. If I pick something up off of the ground, I do a little deadlift, or I just pick a tennis ball up off of the ground, I'm bearing load through these various different joints in my body that sends an electrical stimulus into those places, which causes these cells in the body to either tear tissue down or build tissue up around that area. So all day long, by you exposing yourself to pressure or to weight, it's sending the signal to those places, those joints, those connective tissues, those bones, saying, okay, build back stronger. Or if you're just resting all the time, those connective tissues, those bones, those joints, they say, okay, we can kind of like clear this out because we don't need to be that strong. So the key to longevity is exposure. You need to keep exposing. That's really important.
And that makes a lot of sense, especially as we age, we tend to lift fewer things. We do less movement in time. We become more and more sedentary. And it's not out of necessity. It's just out of the sort of cultural demand on us to move becomes less and less.
And the narrative that we tell ourselves.
Right.
Like I work with clients like one-on-one on occasion. And when we're picking up weights, like a trainer, I think like the polite thing to do is like, okay, cool. Like I'll get the weights, I'll put them back and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, that big heavy weight, like you get that one. I'm going to get these little guys because you're here to do the work.
Right.
Like you're paying me to formulate this system ultimately for you to effectively do work.
Right.
So while you're picking up that weight, that really heavy weight, and you're putting it back on the thing, you're paying attention. Okay, how do I get up and down off of the ground to grab that weight? How am I walking with the weight? How am I using my breath with the weight? So starting to invite yourself. So that would be the first answer, is kind of a more of like a sterile, fitness type answer. The second answer is introducing exposure to your life with regularity in the form of, don't be afraid of cold temperatures. Don't be afraid of hot temperatures. Don't be afraid of the sun. Like, get the heck out there. The moment that you take yourself out of life, your body and your mind, it starts to fold in. As long as you say, no, like, I'm going to pick the weight up. Thank you very much. Like, I know I'm a gal, and it's a very, very, very chivalrous of you to like pick up my suitcase and put it in the thing. But I actually enjoy the sensation of hinging my hips back and using my intra-abdominal pressure for a second and breathing in and whoop, like that felt good. So that's a philosophical perspective on fitness. Changing the lens of the way that I perceive exercise being the way that I inhabit myself all day long, and enjoying the process of doing work, as opposed to continually trying to push work off to the side for somebody else to do or some machine to do. The outsourcing of work is at the root of the disease of modern culture.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.